Good morning and welcome to our English lesson today. It is a continuation of last week's lesson, direct and indirect speech. And we say direct speech is when we quote the exact words that have been spoken by a speaker. And then we said in the indirect speech, this is a sentence in which we report the words that have been spoken by a speaker. When using direct speech, you remember we said when using direct speech, you quote the exact words spoken by a speaker by use of inverted commas, or we also call them speech marks, or we also call them quotation speech marks. But when you are reporting, there is no use of the word. There is no use of this inverted commas. I talked of how to punctuate a sentence in the direct speech, because you find out that some questions they are going to ask a learner to give a sentence that is correctly punctuated when they are talking of direct speech. I said after the opening speech marks, you always begin with a capital letter. For example, Amina said, comma, before the exact word spoken by a speaker, you have a comma, and then opening speech marks and capital letter. We say we ate bananas. You have that, and then I'm having a full stop, and then a closing speech marks. So before the exact word spoken by a speaker, you have a comma, and then opening speech marks, and then you say we ate bananas, full stop, and then closing speech marks. All punctuation marks, a full stop, a question mark, an exclamation mark, come before the closing speech mark. That's remember, we are enclosing the exact word spoken by a speaker. And then I said there are some pronouns that are going to change from the direct speech to the indirect speech. If you have, for example, here I have we ate bananas, I can say Amina said. Amina said. So I have Amina said. This is the present simple tense. The present simple tense changes to the present perfect. To we ate bananas is the past simple tense. If you are changing the past simple tense to the indirect speech, it changes to the past perfect. For example, Amina said they had. So I'm going to say they had eaten bananas. You realize that in my reported speech I'm having they, but in my direct speech I'm having what? I'm having we. We changes to they if it is in the indirect speech, and then I changes to she or he, and then I said if you have you, it depends if the you is unanimous. It is both positive and negative. It is both singular and plural. So you can take the you if it is singular or if it is plural. You have you, if you is plural, it changes to they or them. But if you is singular, then it's going to change to she, he, her, or he, or him. You must note that. You go to your sentence, they have given you the direct speech. What you are supposed to do as a learner, you identify the pronouns used, and then you also go back to your notes and you check the pronoun have been given should change to what when it changes to the indirect speech. So I talked of how the present simple tenses are going to change from the direct speech to the indirect speech. I began with the present simple tense. I said the present simple changes to the past simple. For example, we ate. Let's say we ate. We eat. For example, we eat bananas. And then I want to change this into the indirect. I'm going to say they ate bananas. The present simple tense changes to the past simple tense. The present perfect, the present continuous tense. How do you form the present continuous tense? Use of am, is, or are plus ia plus ing changes to the past continuous tense. How do you form the past continuous tense? Use of was or were plus ing. the past participle, the present participle tense. Now, we said if you use was if it is singular, and you are going to use were if it is plural. For example, we are going to say, we were, that's my sentence, we were eating bananas. This is my present simple tense. I'm quoting, we were eating bananas, the were plus IA. So if I want to change this into the indirect speech, I'm going to say, no, we are, for example, the present simple tense, we are eating bananas. I'm changing this into the indirect speech. You change it into the past continuous. They were, you say they were eating bananas. They were eating what? Bananas. We changes to they. Now look at my sentence. We changes to they, are changes to were. We are eating bananas. The present simple tense. When you are changing the present continuous tense from the direct speech to the indirect speech, the present continuous tense changes to the past continuous tense. The present simple tense changes to the past simple tense. The present continuous tense changes to the past continuous tense. And then we have the present perfect, the present perfect tense. How do you form the present perfect tense? By use of has or have plus a past participle. I talked about this when I was talking about what? When I was talking about in a passive and active voice. Now, I hope you remember that. You should go back to your notes and check how you are going to change the sentences from the direct speech to the indirect speech depending on the tense. You know, these sentences will sound correct, like nearly all of them are going to sound correct. But is it correct? Have you changed that tense from direct speech to the indirect speech correctly? How are I going to hack this? How are I going to know how to answer these questions? How to change these sentences from the direct speech to the indirect speech? What you do is you go to the sentence, you identify the tense of the sentence. How do you identify the tense of the sentence? Simply look at the verbs. You look at the verbs. The verb is going to tell you if this is a present tense or this is a past, past tense. And if it is a present tense, which present tense? Is it the present simple tense? Is it the present continuous? Is it the present perfect, or is it the present perfect continuous? Now, in our lesson today, we are going to deal with the next part of direct and indirect speech, and today we are going to change the past and the future tense from the direct speech to the indirect speech. So I've given an outline, and I expect that when you view this, all of you make the notes. Why is it good to make notes? Because you'll be in a position to change these sentences correctly without messing them up. Trust me, if you don't make notes on this, you will mess up. But if you make notes, then you can always refer to your notes and then change the sentences. So the past simple tense from direct speech changes to the past perfect. So the past simple, I say if you need to identify the tense of the sentence, you simply check the verb. So the verb in my sentence is I sang a song, which is the past simple. The past simple changes to the past perfect tense. How do you form the past perfect tense? You form a past perfect tense by use of had plus a past participle. So we've said the past simple tense changes to the past perfect tense. And then you can ask yourself, how do I form the past perfect tense? You form the past perfect tense by use of had plus a past participle. Use the past participle had plus a past participle. So in my sentence I have I sang a song. Or I can say I ate. Or I can say I ate a banana. Now, if I ate a banana, this is my direct speech. which is the past symbol. How is my sentence the past symbol? You check the verb in the sentence. Ate is the past tense of the word eat. Now, if I want to change this sentence from the past simple tense, from direct speech to indirect speech, you are going to change the past simple tense to the past perfect tense. How do you form the past perfect tense? You form the past perfect tense by use of had plus a past participle of the given past simple tense. Now, if I say the given past simple tense, you have ate, which means you give me the past participle of the word ate. The past participle of the word ate is what? Eaten. Now you have I. We said I from direct speech changes to he or she in the indirect speech. It depends if it is female or if it's male. So I say I ate a banana. So I'm changing this sentence from the direct speech to the indirect speech. I'm going to say he had eaten a banana. He had eaten a banana. So I changed I to he, and then I changed this to the past perfect tense. And how do I form my past perfect tense? By use of had and a past participle. Go to your sentence. Identify the tense of the verb. Identify the verb. Once you identify the verb in your sentence, ask yourself in which tense the verb lies. Then when you get the tense, you are in a position to change the present simple, the direct speech to the indirect speech. So that was our part number 1. We are changing the past simple tense. The past simple tense direct speech changes to the past perfect tense to in the indirect speech. So you say I sang a song. That is my sentence. I'm changing it into the indirect speech. I've said he had sung a song. How do you form the past perfect tense? You form the past perfect tense by use of had plus what? A past participle of the given past tense in the sentence. Now, number 2, we are having the past continuous tense. How do you form the past continuous tense? I talked of the present continuous tense. I say the present continuous tense changes to the past. If it is the present continuous tense direct speech, it changes to the past continuous tense indirect speech. Now, how do you form the past continuous tense? You form the past continuous tense by use of was or were plus ia plus ing. You change the you form the past continuous tense by use of was or were. Was if it is singular and were if it is plural. For example, I'm going to say I was singing a song. So this is my direct speech, and then I'm having was plus ing, and I is singular, so I'm using was, but if it is plural you use were. So you can say if you have that, you say I was singing a song. That is direct speech. Now let's change this sentence from the past continuous tense. Past continuous direct speech changes to the past perfect continuous tense in the indirect speech. How do you form the past perfect continuous tense? By use of had plus been plus in plus ing. Now, I was singing a song. So in my indirect speech, I'm going to say, so you having I was singing a song, you are changing the past continuous to the from direct speech to indirect speech. You are using the past perfect continuous. So you are going to say she had been singing a song. She had been singing a song. Had plus been plus ia plus ing. Past perfect continuous. And then you have the past perfect direct speech. If I have the past perfect direct speech, or I can give another example of the past continuous, we can say we were eating bananas. So I'm having we were eating bananas. Direct speech. I'm going to change this into the past perfect continuous in the indirect speech. So we changes to they had been eating bananas. They had been eating bananas. So you have had plus been plus ing forming the past perfect continuous. Now we have the past perfect tense direct speech. If you have the past perfect direct speech changes to the past perfect in the indirect speech. Past perfect direct, past perfect indirect. So it remains. What I mean is that if you have been given I had sung a song, he had sung a song, what you change is I, which is the direct speech. We said if you change I into the indirect speech, you use what? You use he. I had sung a song. You say he had sung a song. He had sung a song. How do you form the past perfect tense? By use of had plus a past participle. By use of had plus a past participle of the given verb. Here. So you have I had sung a song. You are changing it into the indirect speech. You are going to say he had sung a song. He had sung a song. Past perfect continuous. How do you form the past perfect continuous? Plus had is formed by had plus been plus ia plus ing. Past perfect continuous. Now we have the past continuous changes to the past perfect continuous. But if you now have the past perfect continuous as the direct speech and you want to change it into the indirect speech, the sentence still remains. You simply check the pronouns. Is the pronoun supposed to change or it remains the same? It remains the same. I had been eating. This is my direct speech. I had been eating. Now, if I want to change it into my past, in my indirect speech, I'm going to say he had been singing. I had been eating. So I'm going to say he had been eating. He had been eating. I changed I from past person, which is singular, then to he in the indirect speech. So I have I had been eating, and then you say he had been eating. How are you going to be in a position to change these sentences from the direct speech to the indirect speech? The secret is one. You simply look at the sentence and identify in which tense the sentence lies. What does that also mean? It means that you have to be conversant with the tenses. I'm saying that because people do not know the difference between tenses. You don't know if it is the past perfect or it is the past perfect continuous. You don't know if it is the past continuous or is that the present continuous. People make mistakes when it comes to tenses. Read your sentence, identify the tense in which the sentence lies. And then once you've identified the tense in which the sentence lies, you are in a position to change the sentence from the direct speech to the indirect speech. So that brings us past perfect continuous tense is going to change to the past perfect. And then you have past perfect tense changes to the past perfect. You simply take the pronoun. The pronoun, is my pronoun supposed to change or is my pronoun not supposed to change? Not supposed to change. Now we come to all future tenses. All future tenses. Will changes to would. Will changes to would. Now we have the simple future tense. You will sing a song. You will. So I have you will sing a song. You will sing a song. I've changed my sentence from the all future tenses will changes to would. So my simple future tense, you will sing a song. I'm changing you in the indirect speech changes to he or she. He or she. Now I said you change will to would. You are going to say you will sing a song. So I can say she would. She would sing a song. She would sing a song. What if they are using be in their sentence? I will be singing. I will be singing. Now I would be singing. I changes to what when it comes to the what? When it comes to the indirect speech. I changes to she or what? He will be singing, he will be singing. You change, if they are using be in the sentence, you make sure also the indirect speech has be. You simply change would, will, you will, which has been used as the future tense in this direct speech, changes to would in the indirect speech. You just make sure you can identify the sentence. You can look at the sentence and identify in which tense the sentence lies. Is it the present continuous, or is it the past continuous? Is it the present perfect continuous, or is it the past perfect continuous? Is this my future simple tense? So that when you are asked to change the sentence from the direct speech to the indirect, then you are in a position to change. You also look at the pronouns and see how they are supposed to change from direct speech to indirect. And I talked of some other words like today changes to that day, now changes to then. You simply check the sentence. If it is yesterday, changes to the previous day, so that you are in a position to change these sentences correctly from the direct speech to the indirect speech I'll be posting the questions. I expect that you try the questions, and if you don't understand, you can always ask. Thanks for listening.